I am one of your oracles today, and I am joined by my co-oracle, Blake.
Hi, this is Blake.
And today we are going to be discussing the monsters, mythology, and magic inside Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, Chapter 5, I Play Pinochle with a Horse. This is a really fun chapter. I really like this. Just as a reminder, we record these episodes in 4 episode chunks. So if you're watching live right now, you probably already know that. But we record these episodes live on YouTube the second Wednesday of every month at roughly 9 p.m. Central Time. So if you're not listening to this live, please be sure to try and join us next time. And we'd love to have you guys and chat with you guys a little bit in the chat. I've heard from some of you guys afterwards. Looking forward to it. So I'm hoping to see some of you guys in the chat tonight. But without any more preamble, let's roll right into the episode. So I will start off with a brief description of the episode, and then we can talk about it a little bit more in depth. So in Chapter 5, I Play Pinochle with a Horse, Percy wakes up in bed. He eventually learns that he's at Camp Half-Blood. He meets Annabeth Chase, who nursed him back to health, and Grover, who's actually revealed to be a satyr. Percy wasn't dreaming. Percy's introduced to Mr. D, aka Dionysus, the camp director, and Chiron, who was his former teacher, Mr. Brunner. Percy learns about the Greek gods, demigods, and the fact that he doesn't necessarily learn it yet, but it is heavily implied that he is a demigod. And he also learns about the pact of the Big Three and the danger that puts people in general in.
Yeah, I get a lot of setup in this one. A lot of kind of just I don't know, kind of informs you of like the world building and how things are kind of ran, how Olympus is still relevant. Because I know there's a big description in there from Dionysus about like the gods just kind of migrate with civilization. Like they aren't locked into just being in Greece. For a while, they set up shop in like Germany and Europe, and have eventually made their way to the United States.
Yeah, I thought that the part. Let's just talk about the end of this chapter really quick. I thought the part where him and Chiron were talking about how, like, you look at the symbolism and like the architecture, even. I mean, like Greek columns are still used in so much prominent architecture even today. If you look at the Capitol building, it's modeled after Greek temples. If you look at even inside the Capitol building, inside the dome of the Capitol building, there's not a picture of God and like the Christian the God and angels inside the dome of the White House. It is the Greco-Roman gods looking down on the senators as they walk through the Senate the building every day. So I think that's a very cool like nod to that, and I think that it does a good job of kind of showing that off, and that it's like the Olympians are still very prominent even to today.
Yeah, even if they're not being directly worshipped. And they even touch on it in the chapter when Dionysus kind of scoffs at the idea of Percy Jackson calling them myths. It like even if they're not being directly worshipped, the gods still are very relevant and very powerful and kind of playing behind the scenes rather than being like directly influential or being like directly sacrificed to or directly worshipped.
Yeah, it's a matter of relevance rather than a matter of worship, like direct worship. Exactly.
I do also kind of like the depiction of the gods not really caring whether or not that they've been worshipped. Even Dionysus, when he's talking to Percy, kind of gets into, what if people think you're a myth in 2,000 years? People are going to joke about Percy Jackson just being an allegory for people who have dead moms.
Yeah, it's a harrowing fact that you know what? If Percy Jackson does remain that long and that relevant for so long, he probably will just be thought of as a myth to help explain how kids can get over losing their moms, and that's crazy to think about, honestly. And also in there, for anyone who's read through the whole series and everything, there's some like in that same section that Blake is talking about, where Chiron talks about thinking about what it would be like to be immortal. There is some heavy foreshadowing for some decisions that are made at the very end of the series, but I don't want to spoil too much, and I might have already done that, but that's kind of all that I can say.
And for new listeners, if this is your first episode with us, myself, Blake, I am reading each of these chunks of chapters like week to week before we record the episodes. So I actually have no idea what happens in this book past chapter 9.
Yeah, I have read this series. I've read the sequel series is all the way. I've read most of old Uncle Rick's published works. So I need a life, man. But
we'll just say you're well read.
Yes, I'm well read, and so I have more of the foreknowledge, but I will do my best only to spoil up to the chapters that we're talking about that day. So this is your a little late spoiler warning up to chapter 8. So up to the end of We Capture a Flag. And also, I did something for this week. I wrote out Friends style and It's Always Sunny style alternative episodes where for every episode. So the Friends style chapter title for chapter 6 is the one where Percy finds out, and the It's Always Sunny episode title is The Gang Discovers Daddy Issues. So that's a little something that I'm going to try and keep up on doing for every episode. So, but I think it would behoove us to kind of go back through and look at the episode or the chapter one kind of piece at a time. So we'll start off with the beginning where Percy, the first lines of all of Uncle Rick's chapters are always awesome. The first line is, I had weird dreams full of barnyard animals. Most of them wanted to kill me. The rest wanted food, which is honestly, like working in vet med, that's pretty accurate to how a lot of animals will treat you when you're around them.
Oh yeah, and I mean, sometimes you get ones that want both. They're like, I'll eat you until you hand me handfuls of treats, and I still might try to eat you if the treats stop flowing.
Yeah, exactly. So again, the Percy doesn't know it yet, but Annabeth, she mentions the summer solstice, which again we talked about in another episode, but the solstices are very important inside of Greek mythology. She talks about something being stolen and a deadline only being a couple weeks away. We then see a man who has dozens of eyes on his cheeks, his forehead, and the backs of his hands, and that's pretty cool. We then go on to Percy waking up finally, and waking up on the deck, and it also mentions that his mouth feels like a scorpion has been using it for a nest, and again, a little bit of possible spoilers for the future, but I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that it was funny that they put a paper parasol and a maraschino cherry in his ambrosia that he was drinking. I thought that was really funny. They've got class. I mean, you can say what that you want about the people at Camp Half, but they do have style.
Even if you don't eat the maraschino cherry, it's nice it's there.
Well, Percy should probably eat it because it probably did soak up some of the powerful magic into it. It probably has some of the godly energy in it.
Yeah, but Percy's definitely a sixth grader, and he's gonna be like, I don't want the whipped cream or the cherry.
Which is ridiculous. I always love the whipped cream and the cherry. That's my favorite part.
I was in line at Qdoba last week, and a guy in line behind me, like a 45-year-old man, mind you, ordered a bowl of queso with a scoop of steak and cheddar cheese on top of it. And I was like, "What are you for? like what kind of bowl of queso of Qdoba is that?
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Insanity." Picky eaters. I guess Percy Jackson's probably not really described as a picky eater. I mean, he eats lots of like odd blue things thanks to his mom.
I was gonna say, as long as it's blue, he'll eat almost anything. Okay, so we get the iconic orange T-shirt with Camp Half-Blood on it, which those have become like incredibly iconic. You'll see them at Comic Cons all over. San Diego Comic Con is coming up. We won't be there. Sorry.
no booth this year, guys. Sorry.
No booth this year. Maybe next year. We'll see about that. Percy thinks that he may have had a nightmare, which we play with that kind of theme again. And then Grover shows him the black and white bull's horn with a jagged base on it and dried blood. And Percy realizes, nope, that was not a nightmare. That Percy really did slay the Minotaur. And
yeah,
Percy
he takes that horn like everywhere with him for the next couple of chapters. So things like under his pillow.
Yeah, and good thing too, because I mean that's a cool magical item. It's sweet to see. Percy sees acres of strawberries, which again is like an iconic part of the Percy Jackson series. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I did find that interesting, like because Dionysus is somewhat like banned, I guess, so to speak, from messing with alcohol and things of that nature. I can't remember if it's like a straight decree from Zeus or how that exactly unfolds, but I remember them describing he does the strawberry fields because he's not allowed to mess with like grapevine or like any winery kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I think we do talk about it in this chapter, actually. Dionysus has been banned from Olympus because he was messing with the wrong wood nymph. Classic mistake. Classic mistake. Classic Dionysus. And Percy... and he is also forbidden from drinking wine. But honestly, he's missing out because he could make some delicious like strawberry wine out of those strawberries. I'm just saying that like he could broaden his horizons a little bit and get some delicious strawberry wine going on. I wonder if he's tried that or if that would still break his decree from Zeus.
Yeah, I gotta roll my eyes at the Diet Coke choice. I'm like, Mr. D, like what are you doing? Like Diet Coke is that's your, he's like, I can't have wine, so I guess it's Diet Coke.
Like zero sugar Dr. Pepper's right there. You could have just if you're looking for a low calorie option, just Diet Coke, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, like it's not like you're missing the sugar or anything. You might as well have a cream soda or a root beer or something. Like
exactly.
I guess maybe it's the caffeine. Maybe the caffeine's, but he's like, that's what I want. That's actually because I can't have wine. I need caffeine at least. So. But still, caffeine. on that same front, it's like I don't know. And also, I think it would have been way funnier actually if Dionysus was a straight like Mountain Dew drinker. Like if he had a code red every time he like conjured something up.
That would be pretty funny, actually.
Or even funny. I can't remember when these books were written. You'll have to refresh me on the dates, but like maybe when Vault was still around.
Oh, maybe. I don't know when Vault was around, but I think this book came out. It's a 20-year anniversary. This last week was the 20-year anniversary. So it came out in 2005.
Oh man, I just Googled Vault Vault Soda's release date, June 2005.
Whoa! It's a canon event. It's a canon event.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
All right, from here on out, every time I read that Dionysus takes a sip of Diet Coke, I'm gonna picture a weird green bottle of Vault.
I love it.
Anybody who's not as old as I am and doesn't know what Vault is, it's okay. You don't need to know.
Vault is.
It's like a knockoff Mellow Yellow. They don't even make Mellow Yellow anymore, do they?
I only have.
Fuck, I'm old. Oh. Anybody wondering, I turned 32 last week, so.
Oh yeah, happy belated birthday, Blake. I had a reminder in my phone to text you, and I completely forgot about it. So happy
No
birthday.
worries. I'm kind of celebrating today anyway because I worked on my birthday, so I kicked it to like my vacation time started, which started today, so I had plenty of time to chill out and do all kinds of fun birthday stuff. But yeah,
Hell
I
yeah.
just turned 32, and I was gosh 13 when Vault came out.
That's awesome. So moving on from there, we talked about the strawberry fields, and then Grover moans. He stomps his foot so hard that it came off. And Percy says he means the Converse high top. I crossed that out and said clog. The clog came off.
Clogs, always clogs.
Yes.
Little Grover's German boy clogs.
His clogs came off.
He's in so much trouble because he got knocked unconscious and Percy had to drag him across the river.
Which I think is such a. Again, let's just talk about the silliness that is the the exception to the rule there. Like Percy made it safe there, and if Percy wouldn't have ditched Grover, he would have still made it to the camp on time. Like if Percy wouldn't have ditched Grover at that exact time when at the bus station, then he wouldn't have been so far away from his mom, and he would not have it wouldn't have taken him so long to get him to camp. So all of this was kind of set in motion by Percy ditching Grover in that instance.
Yeah, I think Grover definitely got a raw deal when it came to them. Well, they kind of squash it a little bit. Like he doesn't quite get punished for that situation happening. I believe it's around chapter 7 or 8, if I remember right. They have a conversation with Grover that he has like a new deal kind of thing in regards to what's going on with Percy. But we'll tackle that when we get there.
Yeah. Several times throughout here, when Percy says the names of people from Greek mythology, thunder rolls, so that's kind of relevant. Percy reckons that if he shaved Grover's hair, he'd find some. Let me let this dog out quick. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Is that Stacy?
Sorry, my fiance just got back from a horse show, and so her dog was really excited to go see her.
Oh, gotcha. I just asked when you were standing up. I was like, "Is that Stacy?" But apparently, it's not.
No, Stacy. I played fetch with her for like an hour beforehand, so she'd be tuckered out.
She's chilling.
She's chilling. Percy's mom was squeezed into nothingness and dissolved into yellow light. So now Percy is fully ready to be a Disney hero. He is fully an orphan. So that, he's got that going for him.
All the best superheroes and wizard kids and stuff don't have parents, so he's
exactly. That's why I'm not a superhero, is because I had 2 loving parents my whole life.
2 regular old parents robbed me of my chances.
Robbed me of my chance of ever going to becoming a wizard. Dang. Except Ron. Ron had 2 parents, and he was a wizard anyway.
He was kind of the worst wizard, though.
He was kind of the worst wizard. I'd rather have my parents than be a redhead wizard. Anyway.
Yeah, you know what? 2 parents greater than redhead wizard.
Exactly. So Percy is talking about how he had when he was drinking this this nectar, it tasted like homemade chocolate chip cookies, and his mom's blue homemade chocolate chip cookies, which, reading that, I am so hungry right now. I want some chocolate chip cookies straight out the oven in my mouth right now.
I was instantly jealous of the description of that. In terms of, it's like the way it's kind of described in the book, it doesn't sound like you would know what it tastes like until you drink it. It's not like it's like, oh, this drink is going to taste like what you want it to taste like. It's more like this drink is going to pull something out of your subconscious that you really want, or that is going to that like without you even probably knowing it is like your favorite thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's for characters later in the series, it's it spoilers, I guess, kind of, but it tastes different to different people, and you can kind of tell something about them by what it tastes like. Like you can kind of tell what's important to them by what it tastes like. Percy gets another look at the architecture of the camp, and it looks like it's ancient Greek architecture, but everything is brand new. So that's really cool. Uh, and then our first description of Dionysus is the man facing me was small but porky. He had a red nose, big watery eyes, and curly black hair. It was almost and curly black hair or curly hair so black it was almost purple. He looked like one of those paintings of baby angels. What do you call them? Hubbubs? No, cherubs. That's it. He looked like a cherub who turned middle age in a trailer park.
Tiger stripe Hawaiian vest included.
Which I also want to take issue with. It should be leopard print, but anyway. Yeah, it's all right.
Can't cross all the T's, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, can't dot all the I's. I guess it's all right. Percy looks longingly into Annabeth's eyes and and otherwise says that she's a stereotypical California girl, but he does take several paragraphs describing her eyes. So I think that's hilarious. And then she glanced at the Minotaur horn in his hands, and instead of saying, "Wow, you're so cool, you're so awesome," she says, "You drool in your sleep, or when you sleep," which is again iconic.
Classic deflection.
Don't tell her that she was staring at him while he was sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like I don't think anybody's so prolific a drooler in their sleep that someone wouldn't catch on to that without looking at them sleeping for longer than 10 to 15 minutes.
Exactly. Like she literally nursed him back to health. Like I'm just saying, we're 5 chapters in and they haven't kissed yet.
What is this book?
What is this book? Oh man.
It's funny. Anytime I talked about stories with my mom's first question is always "Where's the romance? Who's the girlfriend? Who's the boyfriend? Where's the intrigue?" Or as soon as I tell her that there's a male and a female character, she's always like, "Oh, are they married? Are they getting married? Are they gonna be married?
Are they gonna be married? When's the wedding?
When's the wedding?"
It's Mom, like talking to your mom. It's like talking to your mom about any girl when you're single. It's like talking to your mom about any female human in your life. It's like, no, Mom.
No, Mom. The librarian's 40.
She's 40. She's like, I don't know. She's got a good job. She likes to read. I'm just saying, you could do a lot worse than Mrs. Beverly. Oh man, well, we've gotten entirely off track, but that's okay. Dionysus asks if Percy knows how to play pinochle, and he says it is, along with gladiator fighting and Pac-Man, one of the greatest games ever invented by humans. I would expect all civilized young men to know the rules, which I don't know if you know the rules, Mr. D. I really don't, because when they're playing pinochle, Mr. D says that the game goes to him, and then Chiron lays down a straight, which is not a thing in pinochle.
Yeah, says, you're technically playing on runs, you're matching suit, right? So I mean, yeah. I guess technically in a layman's terms sort of way you could call it a straight, but it's not like it's not like you played the whole straight,
Yeah, and also you're taking tricks. As the game goes on, you're taking tricks, so you have to take the game ends with you taking tricks. That's the last stage of a hand. So unless maybe it's talking about Chiron laying down, shooting the moon at the end. but I just don't know. I don't think that's. I think that it was probably too specific to.
Yeah, I think I'm wondering if Triple RJ over here was like writing that scene very Pinochle accurate, and he was like, "Oh no, Chapter 5 is 130 pages long."
It's 130. I've talked about Pinochle for 17 hours now.
He actually submitted it to his editor, and his editor sent him back like all of that just crossed out in red. He was like, he's like, none of this, don't do any of this.
We need less Pinochle. I want more Pinochle. I need double the Pinochle at least.
And also, like the title of the book was originally Percy Jackson and the Pinochle Trick.
and the Pinochle Trick, Percy Jackson and the Royal Marriage. Percy Jackson and the Jack of Diamonds. That's an insider joke. That's a double joke because that's part of Pinochle.
If any of you listening have never played Pinochle, get a deck of cards, grab a friend, Google some rules.
Throw the 1 through 8 out. Get another deck of cards.
I'm sure they have Pinochle decks. I bet you could buy a Pinochle deck that has like a 48 card Pinochle deck that has to.
Yeah. Oh man. So then we go into this whole discussion about how gods probably wouldn't like it if you called them old myths about things. Also, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. Sorry. Percy saw visions of grapevines choking unbelievers to death, drunken sailors insane with battle lust, sailors screaming as their hands turned to flippers and they faces elongated into dolphin snouts. I think that it's hilarious that he turns people into dolphins. I think that's so random. Like that's such a random thing to do. But I think that's just so hilarious. Like it comes up later in later books where like people use the fact that he did that to their advantage, but I just think that that's so funny. I think that it's hilarious. It tickles my funny bone in just the right way, and it's actually like part of the mythology too. Like that's the funny part.
It's like Dionysus invented dolphins.
Yeah, it's just so funny. Do you have any fun Dionysus fact while we're on the topic of Dionysus?
Oh gosh, I really don't off the top of my head, because I can't even really think of any apparent like myths or anything that he's directly tied to that I have off the top of my head, honestly.
That allegedly, in like according to the mythology, he aided the gods in the second of their like great wars against the giants, who were the children of Gaia. And after creating wine, his achievements in that war were what eventually granted him immortality. They granted him immortality after aiding them in defeating the giants. Is part of the myths. And Chiron says that Dionysus isn't mad. He just hates his job. He's been grounded, and he can't go back to Olympus for another century.
100 years stuck on this smelly dirt ball.
Smelly dirt ball, just like Percy's stepdad.
Yeah, yep. Not to be confused with Percy's
stepdad. Yeah. Don't. We're talking about Earth, not Smelly Gabe.
Smelly Gabe.
They talk about Western civilization, and Chiron exposits about it for a while. I almost did the Friends style chapter title as the one where Chiron exposits a bunch, but I thought that was a little bit too much. It was a little too wordy. I also have a short little list of of things that are like, let me see if I have, yeah. So it's a little list of things that are named after Greek mythology or things in Greek mythology. So the first and most obvious example, I think, is Nike. Nike is the Greek goddess of victory. The swoosh symbolizes her wings.
Just
Maserati.
Nikes last week.
Yeah, Maserati's logo is a trident. Trident gum is also in there. Athena Health is named after Athena, and her Roman form is Mervana, and there's a company called Mervana Food. Hermes, his winged sandals are the symbol of Goodyear, and also several other things. And I have another rant to go on about Hermes' symbol in a second, so we'll save the talk about his caduceus for another little bit. But like Prometheus is the name of several different things. Apollo, there's a brand of tires named after Apollo. There is, I'm saving that for another one. Atlas is allegedly the Titan who holds up the sky, and there are countless companies named after him. Pandora Jewelry, and Pandora Music. Pegasus is a very prominent name in like naming companies. It's just very prominent. So those are just kind of some of the examples of companies and things that are named after things from Greek mythology.
It's everywhere. They never left.
They never left. And I think with that, we'll end with the reveal that Chiron is a centaur, and he stands up out of his wheelchair, and he says that his fetlocks have fallen asleep. And again, really quick, short rant, I promise, but I don't think that it's his fetlocks that have fallen asleep. I think it's that it's his stifles that have fallen asleep. If his fetlocks are too low of a joint to fall asleep, even if they were cramped up like that, I imagine that it's his stifles that sitting in such a hunched position like that for a long time would fall asleep very quickly. So that's my short
Triple
rant
RJ, another I left undotted.
Another I left undotted. Another T left uncrossed. Hi, Billy. I love you. All right. That is the end of our discussion of Chapter 5. Any last thoughts, Blake?
I think we've honestly pretty much covered it. It's not the most exciting chapter in the world compared to I don't know, in terms like you said, it's almost kind of wordy. It has this is definitely Triple RJ's chapter where he decides I need to catch everyone up to speed. Like I need to make sure that the groundwork has been laid and everyone is like ready to roll into this world that exists inside our world. That he has completely made up, right? So it's definitely come like you said, Dionysus just hits you over the head with like all of this extra information, and it's certainly relevant. I don't think there was any part I was reading that chapter where I felt like, okay, get on with it. We all know, because again, Triple RJ has to account for the uninitiated, like people who have absolutely no idea what anything Greek mythological remotely is, has never read a Greek myth, anything in their life. There are parts of this that are going to require a little bit of explaining.
Yeah, and I think that he does an excellent job of that. And he introduces a few more mysteries in there, like keeps teasing us along about the solstice deadline. But he also grants us a ton of answers about questions that we previously had. And I think with that, we will end our discussion of Chapter 5 and move on to Chapter 6. I become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom. The chapter starts off strong with an opening line. Once I got over the fact that my Latin teacher was a horse, we had a nice tour, though I was careful not to walk behind him. I'd done Pooper Scooper Patrol in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade a few times, and I'm sorry, but I did not trust Chiron's back end the way I trusted his front. My titles for this one are the one where Clarice takes a bath and the gang takes a tour. So those are my alternate titles. I already fed him.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, dude.
So yeah, they kind of all here, I'll also read my description.
Sure.
Sorry. Percy begins to explore Camp Half-Blood, taking a tour with Annabeth. He learns about the different cabins, and the cabins are for the children of the gods. He realizes he doesn't have a cabin because his godly parent hasn't claimed him. During this chapter, he has a confrontation with a child of Ares, Clarice LaRue, in the bathrooms, and she tries to give him a swirly, and he, out of instinct, uses or reacts to the water in the pipes, and they drench Clarice and her friends.
Undetermined if any of the toilets had pee-pee in them or not.
Yes, we do not know how thoroughly these toilets were cleaned, though Percy does say that they do kind of smell. So there's a little
it's
bit
2000. It's 2005, so there's probably not automatic flushers in there.
Probably not.
Still ye old handles for you to slap with your elbow or your foot.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody's getting an automatic flush going on there.
Maybe Percy is.
Maybe Percy can get an automatic flush. Maybe that's one of his other powers.
Yeah, it's funny. The well, Clarice, was that her name? Is that right?
Yes.
Clarice's description's really fun for me because I play a lot of Street Fighter 6, and Marisa is like an Italian, Roman woman. Her entire archetype is being this like giant, burly, like big body character in that game. And so Clarice instantly in my brain, like every time she's mentioned, I just picture Marisa from Street Fighter 6.
Nice. It also says that she reminds him of Nancy Bobbitt, which I think is, I don't know. It doesn't go anywhere, but I have this pet theory that Nancy Bobbitt is a unclaimed child of Hermes because she is described as a kleptomaniac and like she's always kind of like stealing stuff and she's causing trouble. And so I kind of feel like she is a like an unclaimed child of Hermes, just out there in the world.
Oh, for sure. Because they even, I think this is the same chapter where they describe like how there are some demigods that are not like powerful enough to be like sought out and found by like the monsters and things like the powers that be. So it's totally possible, she could be a lesser demigod and not even know it. I mean, I'm sure based on the way they've kind of laid this out, there's probably, maybe not hundreds, but there's a handful of them in America easily.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's pretty reasonable. Let's see what else goes on here. Percy sees something up in the attic move, and Chiron says that there's nothing living up there. So that's ominous. Yeah, Mr. D Chiron talks about how the strawberries take almost no effort, and then he talks about how Grover has big dreams of going on to do more ambitious things, and the fact that Grover was unconscious when Percy dragged him over the property line could have jeopardized that. And I again think that that's so silly. I think that it's such a silly distinction. Grover risked his life, his limbs, his fluffy little goat butt to go and warn Percy that the Minotaur was right on his tail. So like the fact that they don't think that Grover showed bravery here is plot convenience at best and ignorant at worst.
Yeah, you definitely don't get the vibe that Grover is being treated very fairly. But I don't know if that's kind of intentional. Like, I also have this feeling that because like Dionysus, for example, like he is kind of like the so to speak, like a patron saint of like satyrs. Like satyrs are somewhat like servants of his in a way, mythologically speaking. And so I wonder if that's like intentional from Triple RJ, and that satyrs are maybe regarded as like second class citizens in a way, in this kind of society that he's built. Maybe not directly saying so that they're like slaves or anything crazy like that, but that they're just kind of like held to this weird double standard where if you're not better than the expectation, then you're automatically worse than it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible, and it could also just be showing the inherent unfairness of the gods, like in general. I think that that's entirely possible, that it's just going to show that, yeah, gods aren't fair. They often are cruel and mean for no reason.
Also, in this same chapter, I think is when Annabeth describes to Percy that there's like unclaimed kids at the camp, that there's like
Mm-hmm.
gods who have sired children. One of my favorite parts of that discussion is when Percy is like so confident. He's like, my dad loved my mom, and he definitely would have told her who he was. And Annabeth is instantly tells him, that's not necessarily true. There's tons of kids who's like the gods sired them and don't care. Like it's not on their radar or their will to deal with at all.
Yeah, it's definitely just a. I don't know. I think that especially at this point in the narrative, it is a huge problem that there are all of these unclaimed kids out there who may not even know who, like, at the very least, they grew up in with one of their parents not around, and at worst, they've been hunted by monsters. Like, it's not a great situation to leave your kid in, and it does a lot to put a bad taste in your mouth about the gods and the situation that's going on here. And like, you're supposed to feel grateful that they have set up this camp, but at the same time, it's like that's the most you're doing for your children in the world. That's crazy.
And I can't remember, does Annabeth have a relationship with Athena, or does she just know Athena is her mom?
I don't think she's ever met her at this point, and maybe met her once. No, she gave her the hat, the Yankees hat that lets her turn invisible on
So
her
it
12th birthday.
insinuates that they've at least met. They've at least
Yeah.
had like a conversation in the same room.
Exactly. So,
Which
there's-
not quite a substantial relationship, but
No.
but it's something. It's more than
here-
Percy got.
Here, kid, here's your hat. Happy 12th birthday. Okay, see you again never. Bye.
Like, wait, Mom, what about Christmas?
I'm the goddess of wisdom.
And then her
Be
dad,
wise.
her dad, who's the West Point professor or whatever, is like, go to your room. I have tests to grade.
I have tests to grade. Side note, he's awesome. We'll meet him in a later book, but he rules.
Cool, great. I'm glad there's one cool adult. I guess I don't know that the trend so far. I mean, that's a bit of a spoiler for me, but like the trend so far is that the gods picked really genuinely great people.
Most of the other parents of there are obviously some exceptions, but like there's one like really bad example. But
like Smelly Gabe isn't getting picked up, like Artemis is not bedding down Smelly Gabe to sire a demigod,
I mean, it talks about it a little bit in this chapter, but Artemis is not bedding down anyone. So hers is one of the cabins that stays empty because she is a maiden goddess, as well as a few others that stay empty are the Zeus cabin because of the Pact of the Big Three, the Hera cabin because she's not going to be unfaithful to her husband because she's the goddess of marriage, the Poseidon cabin, also the Pact of the Big Three, and the Artemis cabin that I already mentioned. And there's no Hades cabin. There's also no Hades throne on Olympus.
They don't. They got rid of the Hades cabin after Hitler was born.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute. So they say that World War II was a conflict between the sons of.
I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes like that.
No, but that's really funny, honestly.
Sorry, as you were saying, go ahead.
Yeah. So they say that the World War II was basically a conflict between the sons of Zeus and Poseidon and the sons of of Hades, and so it implies, in theory, and it says that the children of Zeus and Poseidon won. So it implies, in theory, that the children of Hades were the Nazis, and so it can only be extrapolated from there that Zeus was in charge of the
Cue the bald eagle noises.
the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I get this when I read that, I instantly thought to myself, like Hitler is like setting up all these concentration camps, and he's shuttling like 6 million people into these camps, and he's like, "My dad's gonna be so proud.
My
of me."
dad's gonna be so hyped.
Like, it's pretty gross. Like,
it's pretty terrible. It's pretty awful. And then I was also picturing like Poseidon coated like Marines like landing on beaches, like sliding across the water and doing amphibious assaults on all these like on their island hopping campaigns, and then Zeus himself blowing up Nagasaki.
Yeah, like literally he's just on the plane, and then like the doors open and he just like lightning bolts Japan. Like,
Yeah. Twice,
2 of them. Poor Cillian Murphy is just looking.
Cillian Murphy is just the son of Zeus. He didn't like study and do all that. He's just the son of Zeus.
Yep.
don't let him fool you.
Really digging deep on what is really like, if you haven't read the book and you're listening to us talk about it,
it's
this
one
is like
line.
it's one sentence. It's literally one sentence where he's like, yeah, the gods don't have kids, or the big 3 don't have kids anymore because of World War II. Moving on.
We don't want to talk about that, but we're talking about it. You knew that we were going to talk about it. Oh man.
It's also really funny to picture Hitler being at this summer camp.
There's this. Well, there. No, I can't.
We have to draw the line somewhere.
Let's. That's the end. Okay. So they walk up to Cabin Lab 11, which is the Hermes cabin, and Percy describes something over the door as a doctor symbol, which is immediately wrong. Immediately wrong, Percy. It is not a doctor symbol. It is the caduceus, the symbol of Hermes. The symbol of medicine is the staff of Asclepius, 1 snake. The symbol of medicine, or the symbol of Hermes, has 2 snakes. They have names. They're cool. They come up in later books. Let's talk about it later. But the only reason that the caduceus of Hermes is used at all in medicine is because of a mistake by a Marine during World War II. No.
It all comes back to World War II.
It all comes back to World War II. No.
I'm Blake. This is Casey Budge, and welcome to our World War II podcast.
Welcome to we're 2 white guys with a World War II podcast. Anyway, it was World War I. This Marine Corps guy was commissioning new uniforms, and he's like, yeah, there's a snake. The symbol of medicine, there's a snake. 2 snakes are cooler than 1. Let's put 2 snakes on him. So he did, and that's a symbol of the United States Marine Corps. Surgeons, to this day, they still have it wrong, even though the rest of the army and everyone else corrected it. But that's the reason that some doctors, like full-on human doctors, still use the caduceus, is because the Marine Corps messed it up back in 1910 or something like that.
We're still not learning from our mistakes.
We're still not learning from our mistakes, which is why we had 2 world wars, because the Archduke Ferdinand, the son of Hermes, got blown up, and then
Archduke Ferdinand, i.e. son of Hermes.
Yeah. Anyway. That was my spiel. That was my rant about that. I had to go on a rant about it because it bothers me every day. I think about that chapter way more than I should.
You're just like getting frustrated at work, and then like your anxious brain just feeds you that factoid, and you're like, I'm getting so pissed.
This is so like, and we have various like symbols of like veterinary medicine that are the actual like staff of Asclepius with 1 snake on it, and it's like, why can't they just get it right? Why can't they just do it right? But we're introduced to Luke here, Luke Castellan. He is an older camper, seemingly like in his 19 or 20. Yeah. and he is really nice to Percy here. He greets him in. He tells the other campers to be nice to Percy because that's their job. They are the place for travelers. This is where all the undetermined campers go, and there are a ton of people here. Like Percy even thinks about it. Why is everyone here when there is no one over in those other cabins? And it's because this is where all the undetermined campers go until they are determined. So Hermes' cabin is always perpetually very full.
You know, like overfull. Like Percy literally doesn't have a bed to sleep on. Like they just point to like a little spot on the floor, and they're like, "That's you, man."
Yeah, and he's not the only one. There are a lot of kids just sleeping on the floor.
We're super chill of Hermes to extend that, you know, olive branch to say, you know, my brothers and sisters and dad, you know, they don't have to take care of their kids. I'll take care of them.
I'll take care of everybody's kids. So Hermes immediately set up as like a good god who does take care of other people's kids for them, basically.
Is Luke confirmed a child of Hermes? I can't remember.
Yes, he is a child of Hermes, and
that's probably why he's such a genuine dude. He's so good. I love Luke. Just in the next like 3 chapters that we hang with Luke, I every single scene with Luke, I was like, man, I love this dude.
Yeah, Luke's awesome.
They're gonna kill Luke for sure, and I'm gonna be so upset about it. But
I have no words. I will say nothing. Everyone who has read further in the books knows exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, nope, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, and gentle reminder, I have no idea if he actually dies or not. I have this thing like when I watched Serenity, I thought Wash was so great, and then they just blow him up in the ship and impale him, and he has like, and then I'm like, man, all my favorite characters are just never gonna make it to the end of a movie I watch.
They're never gonna make it through. You watch Spider-Man and you're like, man, that Uncle Ben guy. I hope we get to see him for the next 3 Spider-Man movies.
I'm sitting through Star Wars Episode 1 like Darth Maul's the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life.
Darth Maul's the coolest character ever.
This dude's gonna be in 3 movies, I guarantee.
He's gonna be the main villain of the whole trilogy. Can't wait to see him again.
They're gonna retcon 4, 5, and 6, and it's gonna be Darth Maul for 6 movies because he's so cool.
they're gonna resurrect him in episode, what is that, 7, 8, and in episode 9 for no reason. Somehow Darth Maul returned.
Somehow
that's
and they're gonna announce it in Fortnite.
Now sidebar. Darth Maul does return in the Clone Wars show, and he has
give him robot legs, and he's crazy.
Yeah, and he has a last epic duel with Obi-Wan, and it's sweet. And if you look at it, it's sweet because they tell a whole visual story about how Obi-Wan has evolved and changed his fighting styles through literally the poses that he takes. I watched a whole like half-hour long video about this
cool
6-second fight scene. But basically he starts off in his one stance, and then he moves to his other stance, and then he moves to a third stance that he used when he was fighting him, or he ends off in the fighting stance that Qui-Gon used when he was fighting him, so he could bait Maul into using the same trick that he used against Qui-Gon, and then he tricks him and gets the better of him one last time.
Yeah, another fun fact, I know this isn't a Star Wars podcast, but Ray Parks, the guy that played Darth Maul in the movies, did all of the motion capture for all the lightsaber fights in the Clone Wars CG show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool.
Well, I'm Casey. This is Blake. Welcome to our Star Wars podcast. So
how did we get here? We're talking about Luke.
We're talking about Luke. We're talking about Luke. How Luke rules.
Yeah, Luke, as cool, if not cooler than Darth Maul.
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate description. They talk about how all demigods are normally diagnosed with dyslexia. And probably ADHD.
Dyslexia. That's right.
Dyslexia. Yes, exactly. And probably ADHD too. And Annabeth talks about how that's not dyslexia and ADHD. That is being hardwired for ancient Greek and having battlefield instincts. And then yada yada, they kind of go on and they talk about how the official term for people who are half god and half human are half bloods. So that's cool.
I don't know. The Half Bloods always, like, because of other media I've consumed, always strikes me as like a derogatory term, and it seems weird to me that they would address themselves and the others as Half Bloods because they're demigods. I feel like if I was in this camp, if I was in Percy Jackson's situation, I would not let anyone call me a Half Blood. I'd be like, I'm a demigod. Like, put some respect on my name.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like, demigod is way cooler, but they also, like, I don't know, maybe it's that they've reclaimed the term half blood or something like that, or maybe
That's
that's what
our
they've chosen.
word.
Yeah, exactly. So then while they're outside talking, while Annabeth and Percy are outside talking, Clarice comes up and she tries to haze Percy. She takes him into the girls' bathroom. Disgusting, and it's nasty. And then as she's trying to give Percy a swirly, disgusting, Percy feels something tug inside his gut, and the plumbing rumbles and the pipe strutter, and she and all of her crazy Aries friends get sprayed down with water, and Percy is left in the only dry spot in the area.
I like to think in the splash and the calamity, like just a little starfish like fell out of one of the toilets.
Yeah. She's Clarice sits up and there's like an octopus on her face. And that's pretty much the end of the chapter. They talk a little bit more in there, but that's pretty much all the relevant.
Percy Jackson, Lord of the Bowls,
Lord of the Toilet, Lord of the Plumbing.
What a super
Pontifex of the Plumbing. Yep. What did you think about that chapter, Blake?
Again, I really felt the first 4 chapters we read. I was like, I couldn't be happier about the pacing of the book and the way things were being laid out. And I guess, like, I don't know. I actually don't even know how many chapters are in this book, based on like how I'm reading it, because I haven't bothered to like scroll to the back half and see. But like, I guess like all, you know, I don't know. Are we in the second act yet? Do you think? Are we still in the first act? Would you say
we're still
cemented in the first act? So I mean, I think we are in like info dump mode / like world building mode, setting some groundwork mode. But I did kind of find, as a first time reader, these two chapters we got back to back, not necessarily a pace breaker, didn't have the same like steam. It didn't quite like hit me the way the first 4 did, where I was constantly like, here we go, this is cool, this is interesting, I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I did find myself in these 2 chapters kind of just looking to get things moving. I was like, okay, cool, I got the info, let's start hitting the ground.
Yeah, I did also experience that, and it, again, being a well-read in the subject, I feel like these chapters especially, I turned up to 2 times speed when I was listening to them, like back through, because I was like, it's taking too long. But then once we get to the 7th and 8th chapter, I did slow it back down, because I do feel like those chapters are a little bit more meaty and have a little bit more action. Especially chapter 8 has a lot more.
Talking comparative action, I think the reason that I felt a little just underwhelmed by what was going on in these chapters is the actiony points of them are a bathroom leaking water excessively compared to the Minotaur fight I just listened to, or I just like read through, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more so like we ramped up and then we kind of dropped like into like significantly lesser stakes. But I will say in chapters 7 and 8, we do get back into that sweet good we're looking for. There's definitely a lot in there where I was like, okay, this is much more my speed. Like things are getting a little more intense.
Yeah, I agree. Well, without any further ado, I think that we move on to the Next chapter, my dinner goes up in smoke, aka the one with the new normal, or the gang burns their dinner. So let's talk about chapter 7. Chapter 7, Percy continues to settle into camp life. He's still unclaimed, so he's still just crashing on the floor of the Hermes cabin. He feels like an outsider and is often the subject of whispers and speculation because he did kill a minotaur before he even got any formal training. He eats his first meal at the pavilion and learns about having to give offerings to the gods in the brazier. He experiences routine, attending various lessons and activities. And he doesn't feel like he's very good at any of these activities. He kind of, that's kind of in the beginning of the next chapter, but he doesn't feel like he's super accomplished at any of these activities. He feels like he's kind of not doing very well at them. And that's kind of the end of chapter 7. Chapter 7 is one of the shorter chapters in the book, and it doesn't have a lot of, not a lot goes on in this chapter. Like it's more kind of setup stuff. But it's still a fun chapter, and we get to learn a little bit more about the day-to-day life in Camp Half-Blood and kind of the normals there.
It's a pretty short chapter, if I remember right, too. Like it's not.
It's only. Let's see. I have it open right now. Sorry.
Get ready, listeners. We're gonna stretch this into 30 minutes.
It's gonna be 30 minutes. It is only. It's only 13 pages. So
yes. That's doable. It's 2.5 minutes per page. We got this.
Yeah, I think we can. We'll find some sort of rant to go off on. The climbing wall does sound intensely fun. The climbing wall, which is actually 2 walls facing each other that shakes, drops boulders, sprays lava, clashes together if you don't get to the top fast enough. That sounds intensely fun and also like a liability issue, like what Percy says.
Yeah, there's a lot, especially what we're about to get into in chapter 8. Not going to talk about that yet, but there is a lot of stuff at this camp that like really raises an eyebrow on a first time read. Like you hear the rock wall and like my nerd like reader brain is like, that sounds dope. Can't wait to hear somebody climb like a part of a story where somebody climbs that. And then the adult part of me who thinks about sending a kid to a summer camp, I'm like, I don't want anybody getting on that rock wall and getting like their skin melted by lava as the 2 rock walls slam shut and smash you to death.
Yeah. Annabeth tells Percy that he needs to talk to the Oracle. Yeah, he does. We're the Oracle. We're cool. He needs to talk to us.
Yeah, please, Percy, get in the chat.
Percy in the chat.
Percy Jackson and the Oracle podcast chat. Book 1.5.
Interview with Percy Jackson coming soon.
What does Dionysus call him at dinner when he like introduces him? He calls him like Peter Johnson or something.
Yes. Welcome to our new camper, Peter Johnson.
Peter Johnson and the Lightning Thief.
Peter Johnson and the Rod Stealer.
And then the Rod Stealer.
I was trying to think of a different way to say that, but I just couldn't come up with a better way.
Peter Johnson and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Peter Johnson and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the alternate ending where Percy becomes a recruiter for the Steelers, and they go on to win 6 Super Bowls.
He covers up a bunch of horrible shit for Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes, he. I can't think of more Steelers lore. He has to deal with the constant PR crises of their wide receivers, who are always somehow very good when they're there, create a massive PR storm, and then leave and are bad wherever they go.
Hi, this is Casey Budge, and welcome to our NFL podcast.
Welcome to our NFL podcast. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Anyway, can you tell that we have a lot of diverse interests?
Who knows? We might be half bloods ourselves. We obviously have ADHD.
The ADHD is strong with this one. His midichlorian count is off the charts.
I was when they were doing the description of the houses and things like that and talking about the kids in various houses, I did think it would be a fun. I'm sure Percy Jackson in the age group it was like designed for, those kids probably have a blast going on like websites and taking quizzes for like which demigod would you be born to?
Which one is your godly parent, and your parents are standing behind you while you're doing it. Like,
like, I'm just doing nerd shit, Dad. Leave me alone.
I'm just doing nerd shit. Leave me alone. I just want to find out who my dad is. Leave me alone.
You're not my real dad.
You're not my real dad. Dionysus is my real dad.
I did think Luke's description of Hermes' kids though did speak to me as like if I took that quiz and really like reckoned with myself as a human being, he'd like because Percy talks about not being very good at the things in camp, and Luke like reassures him, maybe you're just a jack of all trades, like master of none. Hermes could be your dad. And I very much resonated with that as like I'm a universal C student. I know a little bit about a lot of things. Like, and if I have an interest, I can get like pretty good at it, but I'm not like a master. I'm not like amazing at any of the things I do,
Yeah, I feel that. Luke in this chapter does talk about how Hermes is the god of, he says, that's him. Percy's like the wing-footed messenger guy, and Luke says, that's him. Messages, medicine, I crossed it out. Travelers, merchants, thieves, anybody who uses the road. That's why you're enjoying Camp 11's hospitality. And they kind of talk about that. Percy asks Luke if he's ever met his dad, and Luke says once, and then he doesn't say anything else about that. And
as he like grazes the scar on his cheek, he's like,
yeah, he like one time, my honor.
Turns out Hermes not a great dad.
Turns out the Greek gods maybe not the best parents. Shockingly,
not the best.
At least he doesn't have to. At least he isn't banished and doesn't have to go try and hunt a bald tattooed kid through the whole ocean and try and reclaim his honor.
Yeah, there are worse dads, but
there are worse dads, but you might have to go. No, you don't have to go to a different universe to find them. Kronos literally ate his kids,
ate his children, ate them up,
gobbled them up. No, single bites. At least he didn't chew them.
That's true. He did not chew them. But I don't know. Is that worse? Like maybe you would rather be chewed. I don't know. Being digested.
I'd rather not think about it.
Is that quick or painless?
I would rather not think about it either way.
You're sick, Kronos. You're a sick man.
You're a sick guy. Percy, Luke talks about how he hates prophecies, and he talks about how Annabeth pestered Chiron to ask if she could go on a quest, and he said that he already knew her fate. He wouldn't tell her the whole thing, but he said that Annabeth wasn't destined to go on a quest yet. She had to wait until somebody special came around. And Luke says Annabeth thinks that every new camper who comes through here is the omen she's waiting for. And then they head to dinner.
Din. Yeah, Annabeth's situation is unfortunate. That I can't imagine being a kid gifted with these abilities and all this potential, and like you obviously know your parents are these grandiose mythological beings that no matter who you are in that situation, you would feel some sort of like need to live up to an expectation or to achieve greatness under their like name, so to speak. And being in an Annabeth situation where somebody just tells you, nope, you got to sit on your hands until someone cooler than you shows up, has got to sting a lot. It's got to just be horrible.
Yeah, and Annabeth rules. Like, we don't get as much into it in this book. We do kind of later, but like Annabeth is awesome. She's legit one of my favorite characters. I took all the quizzes and I came up with the Athena cabin back in the day. So I was right, and that's the right age gap. But anyway, the big time. Yeah, right in there. But anyway,
like, get away from me, Mom. Athena's my real mom.
Athena's my real mom. Why don't I have gray eyes? This is bullshit. Anyway, but Annabeth rules. She is so cool, and it sucks that she has to try and like just wait for someone else, that she is seemingly, and I say seemingly, part of someone else's destiny, that she is not destined to have her own great story. But that is just not true. And we'll find that out later. It's later that we find that out, but she is destined to have her own great adventure.
I hope for Annabeth's growth and character development. I mean, it would be cool, sure, if she becomes like, you know, main character in her own right, and gets her own like real, you know, incredible story or whatever. But I think on a growth level or like a character development level, it would be cool to see a character like her grow over the course of the story as someone who kind of realizes like there's absolutely nothing wrong with being an Indian and not a chief, you know, like with being a person who like still serves purpose and is of like a great asset to a goal that benefits everyone. Because I've certainly in my adult life realized like I've held management positions in work, and I've done things like that and like ran teams and stuff, and I've very much realized like I am so much happier and so much better at just being like a functioning member of a team and can like support people so much better if I am not the one who has to be directly in charge.
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but Annabeth is the antithesis of that, I guess, technically. She is the one who is meant to be in charge, but she is not meant to be doing the fighting and the craziness on her own right. She is incredibly capable and incredibly skilled at those things, but that's not where her role is meant to be. And that's kind of her character arc, is realizing that piece of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I won't get into that. That's literally in the next series that we kind of realize that. We start to realize it in this one, but we start to the next book starts to hint at it, actually, but I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. What else do we talk about in this one? They eat some delicious barbecue. I made some delicious ribs the other day, and
some Q.
Listen, barbecue is phenomenal. Percy drinks bright blue cherry Coke, which it's got to be just terrible for you.
I'm
food
pretty.
dye
Doesn't he ask for a cherry Coke and it materializes, and then he's like, "Actually, make it blue."
Actually, make it blue. Add more food color. Add more blue 42 to this. I don't think blue 42 is like actually a food dye, but it sounds like it should be.
I'm actually a much bigger fan when you order a cherry Coke somewhere and they just pour a Coke and like splash it with grenadine. I feel like that actually tastes way better than a regular like fountain cherry Coke. Even though I'm sure it's the same thing, I don't think that cherry Coke is like some mastermind thing that they do. It probably is just Coke and grenadine. But there's something about when your server or waiter or waitress splashes it up fresh for you.
I like me a little Roy Rogers.
Yeah,
preferably with a maraschino cherry. Tying it all back.
It all comes back to World War II.
It all comes back to World War II. It's all Hades' fault. We get a look at the naiads in the lake, and they are horrible flirts. And we also get a look at, there are some wood nymphs come skipping out of the trees, so that's cool.
Dionysus is not allowed within 500 feet.
Yeah. That Dionysus is they bring the food out, and then he is allowed to come out of the big house. They lock him in the big house. Oh man, yeah, he's a creepy old guy.
I picture him having like that alcoholic, like old man nose. Like they get like that bulbous nose with like all the dots all over it.
He definitely does. He definitely has the liver spots going on.
Yeah.
Percy talks about feeling lost, and he doesn't feel like he is able to fit into the community. And he's like, well, and when he's talking to Luke, he's like, man, I don't know why this guy is being so nice to me. But Luke says, hey, we're all extended family, right? We take care of each other. And that is the fun and also slightly creepy thing about the Olympians. They're all family. They are like, it's as much as it is that this story of great beings of power clashing against each other, it's a story about family drama.
Yeah, I mean, cousins
also end up marrying
second
each
cousins,
other.
Is you can spoil that for me? Is there any George R.R. Martin going on in this book with any of these kids at camp doing camp kid things?
Man, so there's like it's a kid's book, obviously, but
yeah, it's not going to get that graphic, of course, but
yeah, but it is like some of them do date, but they also like make the specification that Olympians do not have DNA, so technically it's fine if it, as
Mr. Triple RJ is just looking for loopholes so he can write a story.
as long as they're not dating like within their own cabin, they kind of see it as okay.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little more half sibling. Situation.
Yeah. Or more like second cousin once removed sort of deal.
Yeah. I don't know. Still,
it's still a little weird. Still
slippery
a little
slope, weird Triple RJ. Slippery slope.
Yeah. I'm sure that Cersei and Jaime started out as cousins in the first draft.
And then the same editor crossed it out in red and wrote brother and sister over it.
Brother and sister, yeah.
It was the editor's fault. George R.R. Martin wanted to tell a wholesome story.
A wholesome story about dragons and a horse girl. And then I mean, what is Daenerys but a horse girl? She meets a fun horse-loving guy. She rides her horses across the desert, and then she gets new pets. I mean, she's just a horse girl.
Just a horse girl.
Yep.
Get that girl a copy of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Get that girl a webkin of a horse, and she'll be just as happy. She does not need to end all slavery. She just needs a webkin.
Just needs a webkin. Good whole universe could have been saved by a webkin.
Yeah. Unfortunately, here we are. We have to deal with Cthulhu-esque krakens and craziness. All right. Anything else you want to discuss from this chapter, or should we move on to the one that we're really wanting to discuss and just killing time?
Yeah. I think we really milked this one for all we could get. really bled that dry.
Yep. Really not a lot to say about that chapter.
Horse dead and beat.
It has been beaten. I have run out of things to say about chapters.
I think we did pretty good.
I think we did pretty good. We talked for more than a minute per page. So now let's move on to a chapter that had 13 pages to a chapter that has 20 pages and feels like there is so much more to talk about it. So on to chapter 8. We capture a flag, aka the gang has a sword fight, or the one where Percy finds his dad. Bum, bum, bum.
It's Poseidon.
All right.
If you guys didn't know.
Yeah, it's Poseidon. We're here. We can talk about it. All the water foreshadowing up to this point has been leading to Poseidon. It's such an epic. So let me read instead of reading the first line of this chapter, I'm going to read the last line of this chapter because it rules. So like I don't know what it is about titles like Daenerys Stormborn, but Chiron says Poseidon, Earthshaker, Stormbringer, father of horses, hail Perseus Jackson, son of the sea god. Like that's so rad.
And then just like sweeping orchestra, like whoa,
like a chorus of conch shells sounds in.
It is rad.
Yeah,
it is cool, and we'll get there. Sorry, everybody.
After a sweet fight scene, I mean, it's just awesome. It rules. So Percy. Let me read my description of the chapter. A little synopsis. Percy participates in his capture the flag game. In his first capture the flag game. During the game, he's assigned border patrol with Hermes' cabin. Clarice and her cabin mates attack Percy by the creek. Percy is like wounded and down for the count because Clarice is using this magical spear. Percy is eventually forced into the creek to try and get away from them. And once in the creek, he gains a burst of energy that heals his wounds and gives him a surge of power, allowing him to defeat Clarice and her cabin mates. Immediately after this, a hellhound attacks the campers and is only defeated by Chiron, shooting it with a bunch of thwacking arrows into its neck, Legolas style. And after that, Percy is claimed by Poseidon.
We got to roll back. Your synopsis skipped, honestly, my favorite part of the chapter.
The sword fighting.
Luke puts together a training. I don't know if it's a class. I don't remember if it's a class or not. Maybe Chiron is there.
I think it's a class.
Yeah, I think it is a class.
Teaches sword fighting.
It's Luke v. Percy. Percy, at this point, I think has held a sword up to the. No, I don't think he has actually, because I'm pretty sure Chiron is like, hey, pick out. He's like, you already have a sword, right? And Percy's like, no, I don't. I have no sword. I have no shield. And they give him a size 5, which I think is really funny because I don't know if those are children's sizes. Like, is a 5 like a kid? Is he a children's 5 because he's in the 6th grade, or is like, would I be wielding like an 18?
I don't know.
Which I thought that was funny, but so gets him a sword and a shield, and then him and Luke have this incredible little sparring match. Again, that just only endears me further to Luke, and I'm like, oh, I just love this dude, big brother energy all day long. Where he shows Percy, he's like, hey, I'm going to show you guys this sweet disarming technique, and then like in kind of slow motion, like walk you guys through the steps. He like clashes the blades together, locks the handles, and then flips Percy's like sword out of his hand. And then he like picks it up, hands it to Percy. He says, we're going to duel, and you and I are going to just do this. We're going to go at it until one of us successfully disarms the other person.
Yeah, and before this, it's another little hint at Percy's identity. But before this, Percy has splashed a little bit of water on himself, and before that he had talked about how he like none of the swords felt quite right. They weren't quite balanced. Nothing was quite working for him, right? And so he splashed a little bit of water on himself when they were taking a break. And after this, as they're sparring, Percy is successfully able to complete this maneuver and disarm Luke and win this first little bout against someone who is teaching the sword fighting class, but is also mentioned by the other camp members to be the best swordsman in a millennia, I believe it says. So Percy is like set up to be a kind of a prodigy, and when Percy tries to replicate it, it doesn't quite go as well. But Luke is very interested in Percy after this. He starts taking his training more seriously.
And I love Luke's reaction to getting disarmed. Like, he very easily could have kind of like huffed and puffed and been like, oh, beginner's luck, whatever. And that's actually kind of left for another camper to say. Luke instantly he gets the sword flipped out of his hand, and Percy almost like wants to apologize to him, like, "Oh, oops, like sorry, dude, didn't mean to like embarrass you in the middle of class." And Luke's immediately just like, "No, dude, amazing, let's do it again."
That was awesome. I want to see that again. Yes,
Yeah,
Luke is set up to be this awesome character, and I love how well that Uncle Rick does to endearing him in this part.
He's a real one, dude. He's a real one. Love this dude.
He is a real one.
I'm gonna be so sad when he dies.
it's gonna be yeah. I cannot say any words on this. No words. Percy says the only thing that he excels at is canoeing, which I think is hilarious. Like,
yeah, of all the things, like he's fucking up archery. He's not. What's the other one?
Foot racing.
Foot racing. Can't run to save his life, but man, he's paddling circles around these other kids.
He's doing laps around them. Like, he's just breezing by. They have an obstacle course set up out in the lake. I don't know if they really do, but like they have an obstacle course set up out in the lake, and he's like doing laps, like lapping people in this obstacle course. He is
those Aries kids like can't even get in the boat. They're trying to jump in it like off the dock, and they're just flipping it upside down and falling in the water. And Percy's just rowing around them like, guys, this is really easy.
This is super easy, barely an inconvenience. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the camera pans below the boat, and there's like 3 octopuses like just like holding
like breezing him around,
just pushing his boat around. Percy's not even holding the paddle the right direction.
Percy's like leaned back, like drinking some or some nectar out of like a little glass with a maraschino cherry on it, and the fish are just moving him around.
He's got a little 6-pack of blue cherry cokes.
Oh man. So after the sword fighting lesson, Luke says, "Hey, I want to see what Percy could do with a balanced sword, because they still haven't found a sword that is quite right for Percy. All of them still feel wrong for Percy, and that continues even in the capture the flag match. Percy still remarks on how that sword that he's using there still doesn't feel quite right. So we're kind of left hanging on that note. That's another mystery that's left hanging for now, and." Percy talks about how Grover was able to climb the mountain climbing wall like a goat, which is awesome. It shows off some of his skills. And he also talks about how Grover wants his searcher's license, which we don't necessarily know what that is yet. But Mr. D suspended judgment and said that Percy is going to have to get a quest before they can kind of judge on that. And this is actually part of the so we talked about the World War II thing, but it's actually not until this chapter that we learn about the big 3 and their pact in World War II.
Yeah, that's right. This is where we're given the reveal.
Yes, but I think that it's funnier if it happens sooner, so that's where I had it placed in my head. We learn about how Zeus fell for a TV starlet, and had a little girl named Thalia, and Zeus got off easy because he's immortal, but the terrible fate was brought on his daughter, which is, again, another theme of Greek mythology, that the gods can't always go after the people who they want to go after. They can't always go after each other, so they will oftentimes hurt the people who are important to them or close to them, and that's an example of this here. Hades is sending his minions after this Thalia girl instead of Zeus, because there's not a lot that he can do to him directly. And then Grover also talks about, or Percy also talks about how, or asks Grover if anyone has gone to the underworld and if they have brought anyone back. And it's kind of obvious that Percy is thinking about trying to get his mother back from the underworld.
Yeah, Grover kind of has that shifty-eyed, like when they brush past the conversation a bit, he's like, "Hey, you're not thinking about doing that, right?" And Percy's, of course, "No, totally above board. No, I wouldn't dream of it."
Yeah.
But like somebody did it, right?
But like Orpheus almost did it, right? Houdini went down to the underworld, right? I think that's funny that he casually just drops that Houdini was a demigod there.
Yeah.
I think that's
Not
really
David
funny.
Blaine.
Nope. He was he just did it on his own.
Just a regular dude.
Just a regular guy. totally normal guy.
Totally really cool guy. Really
cool guy. Grover's like, you're probably nobody important. You're probably like a child of Hermes or maybe one of the minor gods like Nemesis or something like that. Don't worry about it. Because Percy's like, well, you told Chiron that I was someone special back before, and Grover's like, yeah, but like now I need you to go on a quest so that I can get my searcher's license. So like, don't be someone important, so the gods just vaporize you out of for no reason. Like, be someone unimportant, so you maybe have a chance of going on a quest.
Yeah, that conversation's kind of teed up by Grover also mentioning that his job is specifically to keep an eye out for like powerful, vulnerable children of like powerful, vulnerable demigods. Already kind of teeing up that Percy was probably one of those people he found.
Yeah, and everyone has kind of hinted that Percy probably is by like not only the fact that the Minotaur itself was after Percy, like Grover talks about how more powerful monsters hunt after more powerful demigods, and like the Minotaur itself was coming after Percy, so it kind of hints at that fact there too. It's kind of Rick like giving us the answer to questions before we even ask them, like or like lining up dots that will make more sense in retrospect, which is again another thing that I like is that these books make more sense or they're more fun the more you think about it and the more you read into it instead of less. And then everyone's getting excited for Capture the Flag. The teams are Athena, Apollo, and Hermes versus everyone else. So it's kind of Apollo and Hermes are the biggest cabins, but the other cabins are all allied with Ares. So it's kind of split between these like three big cabins versus kind of all the smaller cabins. And Percy is set on guard duty. Sorry, did you have something to say, Blake?
No, I was because yeah, he's put on. They describe it as border patrol, correct?
Yes, yeah, he is set kind of right at the border and left all by himself, alone. So they leave this one camper by himself, and the teams are kind of going at each other. And Luke vanishes on some mission that we don't find out about it till the end. But Annabeth's strategy is brilliant. Like, not only is it just using this advantage with Percy being like Clarice and them wanting to get revenge on Percy, but also just using Hermes, like the children of Hermes, to flank them is brilliant because they're probably pretty fast. Like they're children of the messenger god. They're probably going to be pretty speedy and able to get around pretty quick. So she sends Luke, the senior camper from Hermes, around in a flanking pattern, and he gets the flag and comes back while their team is focused on more frontal assault. So pretty sound strategy there.
Yeah, and during the events, the Ares kids kind of. Oh, I missed this. We talked about this before the episode, and I'm so sorry. This is my favorite chapter in terms of the chapter that I laughed the most listening to because there are two really funny. What am I trying to say? Like double entendres in this chapter. Like when Luke and Percy are about to fight, like the sword fight for the first time, one of the kids is like, I can't wait to watch Percy get pounded. and then the Ares kids, when they corner Percy, are like, cream him. Like, and I just thought, I don't know. I was listening to this audiobook while I was playing with my son on Sunday, And I just had it like on in the background while like pushing him on the swing. And both times, like the I can't wait to watch Percy get pounded hit me, and I just kind of like giggled, and I was like, that's silly. And then literally not like 15 minutes later, it's like cream him.
And they were roommates.
So funny. So funny.
The line is cream the punk.
Yeah, cream the punk. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a 12-year-old at heart, and
no,
it's so funny. It's so funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it was like a little giggle when I heard pound him, and then when I heard cream him, I was like laughing in my front yard.
Oh man, that's awesome. Oh man.
Again, I don't know how that one snuck past the editor.
I don't know. He just snuck it right in there. That's what she said. Anyway. Clarice's spear is electric, so like Percy's doing okay. He's kind of defending himself, but then like Clarice zaps him a couple times, and he's like, "Well, my arms are numb now." And then he gets
she hits him in the shield, and the electricity like goes through his shield and like makes his arm all tingly.
Yeah, and Percy's eventually like driven back into the water, and eventually Percy is able to use the power that he gains from the water. He feels much more rejuvenated, and he is able to not only beat off the other members from Clarice's cabin with two. He does use two hands. I'm sorry, this is terrible.
He's pounding, he's screaming, he's beating off.
Pounding.
Where were we at? Where were we?
Oh. So Percy snaps Clarice's twig like a spear, or Clarice's spear like a twig.
Snaps Clarice's twig between his thighs.
Yep. Oh man. And so Annabeth also shows that she has a magical hat that allows her to become invisible, and she shows that she was right there by Percy, so she wasn't leaving him completely undefended. So we don't feel near as bad for Percy, because she did at least have a plan to not let him get murdered by these Ares kids. And then she notices, she's the first one to put it together. She realizes first what's going on. She puts together that Percy is healing when he's in the water, and when he steps out, that it doesn't feel as good. So she starts to talk about, oh, Styx, this is not good. I assumed it would be Zeus, because she is putting the dots together that, oh, Percy's the son of Poseidon. This is not good, because Athena and Poseidon have a lifelong rivalry. That's basically what the whole story of the Trojan War is that Athena and Poseidon were having a rivalry. They both supported different sides of this war. And so, like, the whole plot of the Odyssey is that Athena, her guy, Odysseus, is trying to get home, and Poseidon is blocking his way the whole time, because Poseidon was the father of the Cyclops who Odysseus blinded. Like, it's this whole thing. These guys are historic rivals. And so Percy doesn't realize this, but Annabeth does. And then the Hellhound appears, and and Chiron is like, everybody get ready. He yells something super metal. Where is it? Stand ready, my bow, which is just like a super metal line to just yell. And he ends up like slinging arrows into this Hellhound's neck before it can pulverize Percy, and then Percy gets back in the water. He is healed, and a glowing symbol of a trident appears above his head, signifying that he is the son of the Earthshaker, the Stormbreaker, or the Stormbringer, father of horses. Hail, Perseus Jackson, son of the Sea God. And Poseidon,
banger chapter.
Yeah, the chapter is absolutely phenomenal. It's action packed from front to start. We've got the action of Luke and Percy at the beginning. We've got the action of the capture of the flag at the end. It is absolutely like incredible all the way through. I think that the Hellhound is a cool like escalation of that, but it also goes to show like Chiron's prowess and abilities, that he is able to stop it so easily and readily. But it also shows that there is someone inside the camp who must have summoned this Hellhound. And I don't know if they put it together right now, but it does eventually show that there is someone in the camp who maybe is not as trustworthy as everyone thinks.
It's got to definitely be Annabelle or Annabeth.
It's got to be Grover. What is he hiding in his
Grover?
clogs?
Yeah, he's up to something.
He's up to something.
So interesting enough, circling back to the Athena Poseidon beef. This is just my personal reading experience from having read some of the Iliad and the Trojan War books that David Gemmell wrote. He has 3 books. I think I mentioned them in the first podcast, but they were Shield of Thunder, Lord of the Silver Bow, and Fall of Kings. And in the godly like alliance ships of that, in those stories, actually Athena and Poseidon are on the same side, opposing Apollo and Ares.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was I guess where did you get your Poseidon stuff from?
So at least in the Odyssey, they're on opposite sides. I haven't read as much on the Iliad, I guess. But
so I wonder if there's like a fracturing that happens.
Well,
maybe like I wonder if like Athena and Poseidon are on the same side during the Trojan War, and then
and
like
it's
Odysseus's journey home, Poseidon and Athena are like split.
And it probably is. It's probably exactly when Odysseus not only blinds the Cyclops, whose name I cannot remember at the moment, but he blind.
What is his name?
It's a P name that I can't remember.
Polyphemus, is that right? Is it
yeah, Polyphemus. Got it. When he blinds him and then also like tells him his name, like he can't help but not take credit for his doing it. So then Poseidon is out to get him after that, and he's still Athena's like main guy. So.
And Odysseus is out there like, if nobody's got me, I know Athena's got me.
Athena's got me, and turns out that Athena does not got him, and he ends up in this whole rigmarole, and it takes 20 years to get home, and it's a whole thing.
They're making a movie about it. You can look.
Christopher Nolan is making a movie about it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm very excited as well, actually. Matt Damon seems a bit of an odd cast to me personally, but I'm honestly, I don't think Christopher Nolan's going to steer me wrong. I think he's going to crush it.
I was going to say, I don't think that man can make. I watched a whole like 2-hour retrospective about his first movies the other day, like over the course of 2 days while I was at I watched random stuff while I'm at the gym. And I had that playing in the background while I was at the gym the other day, and it was phenomenal. I'll link the channel down in the description. So look in the description and be sure when you're there to like and subscribe. But I will link those down in the description. But it's a YouTuber who I follow whose name I cannot remember, but he makes a bunch of like retrospective videos, and they are very good. Yeah. Any last thoughts on Chapter 8, We Capture a Flag?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of summed it up as soon as you finished reading the banger. Like, I really felt the lull for a couple of chapters, and it was kind of like, all right, like, where's the Minotaur fights? You know, like my as Nakey Jakey would put it, another YouTube shout out that I'm sure people are already following because he has like 100 million subs. But my Goopy Goblin gamer brain was like, where's the Minotaur fights? Where's the stuff? And Chapter 8 totally delivers. It just gives you like exactly what you're looking for. You get some stakes, you get some great character moments that aren't just like dumped on you. Like, not that like the other stuff was like real dump heavy, but you get insights into these characters through actual action and like interaction between these characters and things that they're doing, comparatively to just like hearing about it from someone talking about it, which is always better. It's always better when you can kind of flesh people out in their actions and their interactions with other characters. And then we get served up this really fun, epic capture the flag game that is way more than a capture the flag game. There's spears and swords and like real potential damage involved. Like Percy at one point before getting dumped in the river gets his arm slashed by one of the Ares kids, and he's like, "Hey, no maiming." Was a part of the rules, and the Ares kid literally just shrugs and just goes, "Well, guess I lost my dessert privileges," and then like kicks him off into the water. Like these kids are like totally like could absolutely be out for blood at this point, and there's no one there to stop them.
Percy even thinks at one point that he's going to die. Like Percy thinks that they are going to kill him at one point. So he is obviously very concerned that he is going to die in this one. And so he is just, he feels like the stakes are very real. And another part that I wanted to talk about in this chapter was that it's very like, I don't know if you ever like played Capture the Flag at like a camp or like anything like that, but at 4-H camp, this is the only summer camp that I ever went to, and it was like a 1-day thing, like 1-day overnight deal. But we always played Capture the Flag at that, and that just made like it. This chapter always makes me so nostalgic for that time in my life, that like being out after dark and like playing Capture the Flag and doing the whole deal. It's so much fun. Like, I don't know. I just miss that.
They should have given you guys sharp objects.
They should have given us sharp objects. They really should have. It would have been sweet.
It would have been so much more fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last thoughts?
Just kind of in between our conversations, I went ahead and hopped on BuzzFeed and I took the Percy Jackson "Which Greek god or goddess is your parent?" quiz, and I got Apollo. So proved me wrong. I am not a Hermes kid, apparently.
I could see that with your creative and musical endeavors. I could definitely see Apollo for you.
It's funny when you read the description; it reads very much like a horoscope.
What? It's designed to be able to fit anyone, so that their quiz is never wrong, no matter what answer it gives you. Shocking.
Shocker.
How could BuzzFeed do this to us? They are supposed to be the one true news source that is unambiguously correct. I count on BuzzFeed for all my news.
Yeah. I just Googled Percy Jackson God quiz, and it was like the second result. That wasn't paid for. Like they didn't pay an ad space to be the second result. So I was like, I respect that.
I respect that, BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed isn't out here shilling for.
You're not paying Google for the top result, and I appreciate that.
I like it. Yeah. All right. I did want to say that this twist that we waited 8 chapters for is spoiled on the cover art. So, just wanted to say that, but I think that it's still
no
like an
offense
excellent
to any reader that maybe didn't think Percy was Poseidon's kid, but I honestly don't know how you could read this book and not know that Poseidon is Percy's dad by like chapter 3.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you didn't have any idea about like who the Greek gods were in general, like if you got to this point and were like, yeah, this is just a fun book, and you didn't know anything about Greek mythology, like even up to this point, I don't think that Poseidon has really, like, they talked about him very vaguely, but like it would be completely understandable if you had never known anything about Greek mythology. But it might have been like, huh, maybe this sea god guy, maybe that's Percy's dad. But like, we don't know anything about Poseidon until really this point, and after this, we don't find out more about him until Percy starts to manifest more powers and do more things. So it's
that's definitely from my perspective as a like more in like Greek mythologically interested person. I found myself like reading like the toilet scene and thinking to myself like I kind of wish that had a horse instead, you know, like it still would have been relevant, but it wouldn't have been so on the nose, you know, like I don't know
yeah.
that. Like again, I'm not trying to like bash this book. I'm having a great time reading it, but that was like kind of my one hang up throughout the course of these chapters is I was just kind of like, okay, it's a little like again, like you said, if somebody has absolutely no frame of reference, it probably is more helpful than harmful to kind of have these specifically water-like instances of Percy Jackson's stuff. But like, I think it would have been a little less, like a little more. I don't know, kind of cloaked or hidden from the reader had we had maybe an interaction that was like horse specific, followed up by like the scene where he drenches his head in cold water and suddenly feels like a slight moment of rejuvenation, right? Like, because that's a little less like Percy Jackson didn't control anything. He didn't manipulate anything. He literally just dumped water on himself and like could kind of passively have been like, yeah, that felt pretty good. And us as the reader are kind of identifying with him, like, yeah, putting cold water on your head when you're hot does feel good. That doesn't necessarily mean you have superpowers.
It does feel awesome.
You know,
I feel like I could win a sword fight when I dumped my head in cold water. So after taking the ice bucket challenge, I actually went out and became an Olympic fencer. So.
Thank you, ASL. Appreciate
thank you,
all the breakthroughs that you made in 2000. I don't know, 19? What
I have no idea when that was.
What were people doing with the ice bucket challenge?
Anybody
who wants a this is completely off topic, but anybody who wants a really, really good laugh, Google 50-cent ice bucket ASL challenge. You will cry laughing, I guarantee it.
All right. Well, I know what I'm doing after we get done recording.
If he's not talking about Floyd Mayweather, you're watching the wrong video.
All right. By George.
Oh man.
Well, I think we might wrap it up after this. What do you think, Blake?
Yeah, I think that's been a tight 2 hours. Thanks again, Casey, for bringing me on as your co-host. I'm having a great time. Percy Jackson's honestly killing it. Anybody who knows me personally knows like I'm not really a big like Harry Potter dude. I'm not. I don't know. The closest thing to like a Harry Potter like a book designed for this age demographic that I kind of fell into was Cirque du Freak. I don't know if anybody's or if you've ever read those, but they're essentially about a kid who wants to join like a traveling circus because his life sucks, and then he inadvertently gets turned into a vampire. Very good books. I guess I shouldn't say all of them. I've only read 3 of them, but I read 3 of those when I was like middle school aged, and I was like, these rip, these are so good. And I just like, Harry Potter and the like didn't speak to me. I didn't really care for Hunger Games either, but I also read Hunger Games as like a 20-year-old man, and so I think it was just wrong book, wrong time.
Wait, you mean you didn't find the story about 2 guys being in love with the same girl? That appealing as a 20-year-old man?
Honestly, it's really like story context wise is not something that is something I read stories for. Weirdly enough, like you'd think like I'm like everybody reads a book because they like the story, and I am way more a reader who is drawn into an author's writing style. Like how they tell a story is way more important to me than what story they're telling. And that's why like Harry Potter and Hunger Games just bounced right off me, because I like really dense, horrible books that people don't like reading, like Tom Clancy, and like David Gimmel's a good example, or like who's another really dry one, like H.P. Lovecraft, super dry.
Lovecraft is super dry, yeah.
But like I love it. I don't know. It's there's something about those books that like because of their like I think really I read For Whom the Bell Tolls when I was way too young. I was probably like 15 when I read For Whom the Bell Tolls because I really liked Metallica, and I was like, well, they wrote a song about this. It's gotta be.
They wrote a song about this.
And For Whom the Bell Tolls might be the driest book I've ever read. Like that book is a desert surrounded by saltine crackers.
I don't know. Have you ever
Like,
read? Have you ever read Dune?
I have not read Dune, but I kind of want to because 1 and 2 I really liked. Actually, like I really enjoyed those movies. So I'm thinking
The
about
Denis
it.
Villeneuve movies were so good, and they're starting to
Yeah.
make the Dune Messiah, which I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see.
It
Well,
looks
spoilers for Dune Messiah, but I cannot wait to see a man attach worms to his nipples and become a all powerful, all seeing worm god emperor.
yeah, gonna be sick.
It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I just
sweet.
loved both those movies, so I probably will circle back and watch or read Dune at some point. I'm definitely not reading all, like, I don't know, he's got like 18 books in that mythos or
Well,
something.
okay. So there were five. There were Dune, uh, Dune. I just said the subtitle of it. Anyway, the second one. There's a third one. There's a fourth. I think like only the 6 were written by Frank Herbert himself, and then his son keeps writing more books.
Oh, gotcha. So then, did his son write isn't there like prequel ones or something like that? Or I can't remember. I was
I
watching
think
a
they're
YouTube
prequel
video
ones.
from Jack Saint like a week ago, and he was breaking down a bunch of this stuff, and I was like, it sounds like the way he was talking about it, it sounded like there was like at least 8 or 9 books. And I
Yeah,
was like, I'm gonna
and
read maybe 2. Like,
all shout out All Shift X, but he does a really good breakdown of them, and I watched that at some point, but I cannot remember the exact details of it because I'm sleepy.
I am. Sleepy. It's very late in Texas, so
Yes.
we'll sign off, guys. Thank you, anyone who's watching live. Really appreciate you guys coming in. It just dawned on me when Casey mentioned the live chat. I was like, I as one of these co-hosts should probably figure out a way that I can actually see the live chat if anybody's on. So I will work
know if
on
we
that
have
for
anyone
next
in the
episode.
live chat right now, but I think that we may have at some point. But
hey,
anyway.
if you guys are viewing after the recording, whatever, thanks for taking the time. This has been tons of fun, and we're just gonna keep trucking along until this book's over.
Super fun.
I hope to invite some book clubbishness to our podcast in terms of if you are a first time reader and you're not reading Percy Jackson, you got a whole month to read 8 chapters, and you'll be caught up to where we're at, and I'll be right alongside you in your reading journey.
Yeah, these chapters are super short. Like I said, the last 2 chapters combined were 33 pages in total, and they're not like super like crazy dense pages. This isn't a Brandon Sanderson book. This is nice, short, tight, and super easy to read. So if you want to get caught up to us, we're going to be covering chapters 9 through, what is that? 9 through
13?
12.
Oh, yeah, because it'll be 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, you're right, it's 12.
Yeah. So chapters 9 through 12 next time, the second Wednesday in August. So when is that?
Oh gosh, let's pull a calendar up real quick.
It will be the 13th of August. So I will have just gotten back from my trip to Wyoming. Super excited about that. So yeah. Any last notes, Blake?
No, I think that'll do it. Anybody doing the post view, also don't feel bad if you don't read the book. Some of my favorite YouTube content to consume ever is video games and movies and books that I have no intention of ever reading or playing or watching. So,
Yeah, I watched a whole 2.5 hour thing, again, All Swift X video about Sand Kings, which is another George R.R. Martin book. And I will never read that book. I have no intention of doing it.
Like, interesting video, but I don't need to read the book.
I'm never going to read that book. So, yeah, I already have too much that I need. I have like 7 more Brandon Sanderson books that I want to read this year, but I'm not going to get to them.
Yeah, that'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta wait for more Audible credits so I can listen to them while I drive.
You're like, come on, Audible.
I need the month to be up sooner. Oh man. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the Audible podcast. Wow. Not the
Welcome.
well-
Hi, I'm Blake. This is Casey Budge, and this is the Audible podcast.
Welcome to the Audible podcast. This podcast is Audible. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Oracle podcast. Be sure to check us out on all of our social medias, all at the Oracle podcast. I post some pretty funny memes on Reddit and on Instagram and on Tumblr. And be sure to follow us on YouTube and Instagram to see the funny shorts that we cut out of these videos. And thank you guys so much for listening. If anyone is listening, I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. I've really enjoyed getting to talk to some of you guys over any of the social medias that you guys have reached out on. So thank you guys so much. Be sure to leave a rating, whether that's a like or a rating down in a podcatcher if you're catching this later. And again, thank you so much for listening. This has been the Oracle Podcast.